In August 480 BC, 300 Spartan warriors marched toward certain death. Their king, Leonidas I, knew he would not return. He personally selected each of the 300, all fathers of living sons, to ensure the Spartan bloodline would continue. For 3 days, this handful of men held the largest army of the ancient world in a pass just 45 feet wide. They did not win. But they changed the history of Western civilization forever. Greece, 480 BC. Persian Emperor Xerxes I had assembled the greatest military force in antiquity to invade and subjugate Greece. Estimates vary. Herodotus cited 2.5 million, modern historians calculate between 100,000 and 300,000 men. The Persian fleet was equally colossal. The Greek city-states, Athens, Sparta, Corinth, were divided. Many had already surrendered without a fight. Greece was on the brink of collapse. Leonidas I was king of Sparta, not merely an honorary title, but the leader of one of antiquity's most brutal societies. In Sparta, infants deemed weak were abandoned to die. Children were taken from their parents at age 7 and subjected to the agoge, a military and survival training program lasting until age 30. Spartans were not merely soldiers. They were war machines forged from birth for a single purpose, to fight and die for the city. Leonidas came to the throne by chance. He was the third son of King Anaxandridas and only became king after both elder brothers died. He married Gorgo, his own niece, whom historical records describe as a woman of exceptional intelligence and shrewdness. When a Persian ambassador arrived in Sparta demanding earth and water, symbols of submission, Leonidas had him thrown into a well. The answer was given. When Xerxes marched on Greece in 480 BC, the Greeks consulted the oracle at Delphi. The response was grim: either Sparta would be destroyed, or one of its kings would die. Leonidas chose to die. Sparta's full army could not depart, a religious festival was underway. Leonidas took only 300 warriors from his personal guard, the Hippias. Along the way, he gathered allies from other city-states. In total around 7,000 Greeks defended Thermopylae. Who was Leonidas beyond the warrior? Historical records are sparse but reveal a man of dry humor and pragmatic philosophy. When someone warned him that the Persians were so numerous their arrows would blot out the sun, Leonidas replied, "Then we shall fight in the shade." He knew he would die at Thermopylae. He sent most of his allies away before the final assault. He stayed with the 300 because he understood his death would be worth more than his survival. On the Persian side, Xerxes I was not the deformed androgynous despot of the film 300. He was a skilled administrator who governed the world's largest empire from 486 to 465 BC. His elite force was the Immortals, 10,000 Persian elite warriors, so named because their number was always replenished. Leonidas faced the Immortals too. Among his allies stands out the 700-man Thespian battalion who stayed beside the Spartans to the end, and rarely received credit. For 2 days, the Greeks completely dominated. The Spartan phalanx formation was devastating in the narrow corridor of Thermopylae. The Persians advanced in waves and were massacred. Xerxes sent in his Immortals, and they too fell back. Herodotus writes that Xerxes leaped from his throne 3 times in horror watching the bloodbath. But on the 3rd day, everything changed. A Greek named Ephialtes betrayed the defenders, revealing an alternate mountain path to Xerxes. At dawn on the 3rd day, Leonidas received news of the betrayal. The Persians were flanking his position. He dismissed the Greek allies, saving thousands of lives. The 300 Spartans and 700 Thespians remained. They advanced to more open ground, where they fought until death. Leonidas fell during the battle. The Persians made a pile of bodies to reach his corpse. The Spartans fought over their king's body until they were exterminated by arrows. The defeat at Thermopylae had a paradoxical effect: it galvanized Greek resistance. The deaths of Leonidas and his 300 immediately became a symbol of sacrifice and resistance. Athens was evacuated and burned by the Persians. But weeks later, at the naval Battle of Salamis in September 480 BC, the Greek fleet destroyed the Persian armada. The Athenian general Themistocles had chosen the strategic location, straits where the world's largest fleet could not maneuver. After Salamis, Xerxes withdrew most of his army back to Persia. In 479 BC, at the Battle of Plataea, the Greeks destroyed the remaining Persian army on land. The invasion was over. The Persians would never again attempt to conquer Greece. The Spartan general Pausanias led the victory at Plataea, and afterward, at Leonidas's tomb, gathered his bones and solemnly carried them back to Sparta, where they were buried with supreme honors. Greek casualties at Thermopylae were devastating: 300 Spartans dead, 700 Thespians dead, and hundreds of other allies. On the Persian side, Herodotus estimates 20,000 dead, likely exaggerated, but the slaughter was real. The city of Thespiae, whose 700 citizens died beside the Spartans, was completely destroyed by the Persians in reprisal. Their sacrifice is almost entirely ignored in popular history. Ephialtes, the traitor who revealed the alternate path to the Persians, fled to Thessaly. The Greeks placed a bounty on his head. Years later he was killed, not for political reasons, but in a personal dispute. Nevertheless, Sparta honored Leonidas's memory in characteristically Spartan fashion. His name and those of the 300 were carved on a stone column at Thermopylae, with a simple inscription composed by the poet Simonides of Ceos that echoed through the centuries. The inscription carved at Thermopylae by Simonides of Ceos is one of history's most famous: "Go, stranger, and tell the Spartans that here we lie, obedient to their laws." Not a lament. Not a plea for honor. Simply a statement of duty fulfilled. Herodotus, who wrote about the battle some decades later, was the primary historical source. But he himself admitted many accounts were contradictory. The fog of war and myth had blended from the very beginning. The Battle of Thermopylae was immortalized by Herodotus in his histories, written around 440 BC. For centuries it remained a tale of heroic resistance, inspiring warriors, philosophers, and poets. In the 19th century the battle became a symbol of freedom against tyranny for European revolutionary movements. In the 21st century, Zack Snyder's 2007 film 300, based on Frank Miller's graphic novel, brought the story to hundreds of millions, with dramatic creative liberties. The impact of Thermopylae goes far beyond the event itself. Had Xerxes conquered Greece in 480 BC, Athenian democracy would have been extinguished in its cradle. The philosophy of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle might never have flourished. Theater, science, democratic governance, the foundations of Western civilization, could have been smothered. Leonidas and his 300 bought the time needed for Salamis and Plataea to save the Greek world. The story of Leonidas resonates because it touches a fundamental human archetype: conscious sacrifice for the collective good. He did not die by accident or ignorance. He chose his death with full awareness, as an instrument of a greater cause. This pattern, the warrior who knows he will not return but advances anyway, appears across all cultures and eras. Thermopylae is remembered not because the Greeks won, but precisely because they lost in a way that mattered. Leonidas died at Thermopylae in August 480 BC. He was around 60 years old. He did not die like a movie hero. He died covered in blood, amid brutal massacre, fighting over the bodies of his fallen comrades. But his choice to die there, in that mountain pass, echoed through the centuries. Thermopylae reminds us that sometimes the greatest victory is to resist when everyone else has surrendered. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories.